In Revenge of the Sith, we saw Padmé Amidala give birth to Luke and Leia, her heart full of hope for Anakin Skywalker. She falters, overcome with exhaustion, and the galaxy believes she is gone. Anakin falls deeper into darkness, becoming Darth Vader. The Republic collapses. The Empire rises. But what if Padmé survived? What if she had awakened, determined and unbroken, ready to fight for her family and the good she still sensed in Anakin? In this version of the story, that's exactly what happens, and nothing turns out the same. Let's begin. Our story begins in the aftermath of Mustafar, a volcanic planet scarred by lava and rage, where Anakin Skywalker had fallen to the dark side, becoming the masked terror we now know as Darth Vader. In the original timeline, Padmé's heartbreak and grief led to her death after giving birth to twins Luke and Leia. But in this alternate reality, she doesn't die. Exhaustion claims her, yes, her body's strained from childbirth and trauma, but her life force remains. Her vital signs, though faint, are stable, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, ever vigilant, confirms this with the help of the medical droids nearby. The moment is subtle, almost tender, but it changes everything. Padmé is alive, her heart still beating for her children, and for the man she still senses good in. Obi-Wan knows what must be done. He can't afford to linger, not with the galaxy burning and the newly transformed Vader still out there, and with the Empire tightening its grip. He carefully boards Padmé and the newborn twins onto his ship, transporting them to the quiet, sandy plains of Tatooine, where young Owen Lars and his wife Beru await. He entrusts them with Luke and Leia, leaving clear instructions: care for the children, raise them safe from the reach of the Empire. And then he leaves, not to abandon them, but to handle a single pressing matter. There's one person who knows too much about the Skywalkers, and he must find this source, the disgusting Imperial tracker, to ensure the family's survival. Padmé awakens, her senses groggy but alive, in the humble home of Owen and Beru. Her children are near, safely cradled in her arms again, and yet her first reaction is instinctive, desperate. She calls out for Anakin. Where is he? What has become of him? They calm her gently, giving her a tonic to steady her nerves, but she cannot rest fully. Her mind spins with questions, with hope and with fear. Then Obi-Wan returns. His face is grave, burdened with the weight of what he has seen and done. And finally, he tells her everything. The massacre on Mustafar, the fall of Anakin Skywalker, the transformation into Darth Vader. For a moment, Padmé resists the truth. No, she insists, there is still good in him. She feels it deep within her, in the very fibers of her being. The connection they have shared since Tatooine, since Naboo, since the days of hope and promise. And so, with a determination bordering on defiance, she makes a decision that no one could predict. She will find him. She will bring Anakin back. If she cannot, she will at least confront him, see him, and reach the part of him that still remains untouched by the dark side. Packing her belongings, with Luke and Leia bundled safely, Padmé sets her course through the stars, defying Obi-Wan's insistence that he accompany her. He tries once again to sneak aboard, recalling his futile attempts on Mustafar, but this time Padmé's resolve is unshakable. She speeds across the galaxy, tracking the signs, the whispers, the trail of the Empire's massive production, rumors pointing to the Death Star. Somewhere there, somewhere in the heart of the Empire's power, Vader waits, and she will not stop until she finds him. As she arrives at the Imperial docking bay, her identity quickly becomes known. A general hesitates, asking her to identify herself. With courage and clarity, she declares her name: Padmé Amidala, former Queen of Naboo, now a mother, now a woman determined to reach her husband. Her message is forwarded to Emperor Palpatine, a man who had deceived Anakin with lies of Padmé's death to cement his fall into the dark side. The consequences of her survival are immediate and seismic. Vader, upon hearing her name, steps forward, his mechanical limbs carrying him across the hangar. The mask, the burned flesh, the cybernetic prosthetics, all of it. Yet despite this monstrous appearance, her instincts do not waver. She sees the same blue eyes she once loved, the same essence that had drawn her to him in the first place. Padmé runs to him, hesitant, yet filled with a hope that feels almost tangible. Vader notices her fear, and in a moment of humanity he removes his helmet, if only briefly, so that they can see each other fully. She sees the scars, the pallor of his skin, the burns, but she also sees him, Anakin, still alive beneath the armor. Her hands reach his face, touching the mechanical and the burned, as if to remind him of their shared life, of their love, of their children waiting in her arms. And in that moment, he speaks to her, not as a Sith Lord, not as a weapon, but as a man who has been twisted into a symbol of fear. He offers her power, security, peace if she joins him, yet Padme refuses. She has come to bring him back, to reclaim the man she knows exists, to ignite the spark of hope and love that the Emperor tried to extinguish. The tension in the hangar is palpable. Every Imperial officer watching, unsure where allegiance lies, every moment stretching as if the galaxy itself is holding its breath. Padme steps back into her ship and returns carrying the children. Vader sees them, and something in him falters. His hands, massive and mechanical, reach toward Luke and Leia, brushing their small faces gently. The innocence, the life, the purity of them, all of it reminds him of what he has lost and what he could regain. And yet Emperor Palpatine descends, his presence a shadow over the scene. He is no longer a distant manipulator. He is here, threatening, controlling the very life support system that keeps Vader alive. Anakin realizes in that instant that he is no longer an apprentice, but a slave. A tool bound to the will of the dark side. Anger rises within him not just at the Emperor, but at himself for allowing it, for letting himself be used. He ignites his lightsaber, motioning for Padme to retreat, defiance coursing through every wordless movement. His fury clashes with fear as Palpatine retaliates, deactivating parts of his suit to weaken him, forcing him to the ground, testing the limits of his endurance. The battle seems inevitable, a duel between life and death, light and dark. But then, just as the Emperor prepares to strike the final blow, a familiar figure appears, Obi-Wan Kenobi, stepping between Vader and the Dark Master. A new confrontation begins. Force lightning arcs through the hangar, deflected by the skill and determination of Kenobi, wielding not just one but two lightsabers. The battle escalates with the ferocity of a storm, the sparks of power clashing like titans. Vader, still kneeling, throws his lightsaber to his former master, recognizing that the fight is not just his own. The balance of power, fragile and tense, teeters as father, mother, and master, all take their places in this deadly chessboard of destiny. The Force itself seems to bend, quiver, and respond to the determination of those who refuse to give up. Padme watches, heart pounding, as the duel rages. She knows the risks, the impossibility, yet her faith in Anakin is unshakable. The galaxy may have fallen to darkness, but in this moment, the smallest acts, the touch of a hand, the cry of a child, the defiance of love, begin to shift the tide. And somewhere deep within, she knows that the Skywalker family, now reunited, has a chance to change everything. The hangar trembles as the duel rages on. Sparks from lightsabers carve streaks of light across the metallic walls, echoing in the massive, empty chamber. Emperor Palpatine, a figure of malevolent patience, watches every movement, anticipating Anakin's collapse. And yet, for the first time in years, Vader hesitates, not from fear, but from memory. Padme's voice rings in his mind, soft and unwavering, calling him not a monster, not a Sith, but Anakin, the man who once dared to dream of peace. Her presence, so vibrant and real, tears at the chains of the dark side in a way that nothing else could. Anakin's breathing, mechanical and labored, deepens as he senses the tiniest flicker of light within him. The rage that had driven him to Mustafar, the fear that had fed the Emperor's lies, begins to falter. Memories of Naboo, of the quiet moonlit nights with Padme, of whispered promises and dreams of a family, surge through him. Every strike of the Emperor's lightning, every push to bend him to the dark side, becomes a challenge not of power but of will. And for the first time since he became Vader, Anakin Skywalker fights not for domination but for redemption. Padme doesn't wait. She moves with deliberate courage, stepping into the fray without hesitation. Her hands glow faintly as she channels the Force, a natural affinity that had been tempered by love, not anger. She lifts debris, deflects the smallest blasts of energy, and creates a corridor, guiding Luke and Leia safely behind her. Her children are still infants, yet they exude a kind of calm that belies their fragile bodies, as if the Force itself recognizes the pivotal moment in which they now exist. Obi-Wan, though wary, assists silently, covering their rear with precise, calculated strikes. It's a collaboration born of trust and desperation, a choreography of light and heart against the dark. The Emperor, frustrated by Vader's sudden hesitation, intensifies his attacks, his lightning snapping through the air like a storm unleashed. Anakin falls to one knee, struggling to maintain control over his failing suit. Every mechanical joint protests, every burned tendon screams in pain, but Padmé's voice cuts through the chaos. "Anakin?" she calls, steady and resolute. "Remember who you are. Remember the man you promised to be." Her words are more than just pleas. They are a lifeline, a tether pulling him back from the edge. In that split second of clarity, Anakin sees the truth. He has been deceived, manipulated, and used. Every atrocity, every massacre, every betrayal of his own morality, all orchestrated to enslave him to a will that is not his own. He turns on the Emperor, the intensity of his force now fueled not by hate, but by love and regret. The tables shift violently, and the Emperor, confident in his absolute control, finds himself pushed to the defensive. Padme steps forward, guiding Luke and Leia to safety, and Obi-Wan makes the critical decision to intervene directly, striking the Emperor's staff with precision, diverting his attention. The hangar becomes a battlefield of shifting loyalties. Guards, unaware of the subtleties of the Force, freeze in confusion, unsure whether to follow orders or flee. The very environment seems to respond, machinery groaning under the strain of conflicting energy, doors bursting open, control panels shorting out as if the galaxy itself senses a change in destiny. And in the eye of this storm, Anakin stands, unmasked, alive, and resolute. Padme reaches him again, this time close enough to place her hands firmly on his shoulders. "It's not too late," she says, her voice unwavering. Her eyes, filled with tears and hope, lock with his, and for a moment, the man behind the machine emerges fully. The darkness fights, clawing at his resolve, whispering deceit, but he resists. Every memory of Mustafar's fire, every scream, every betrayal, is countered by the quiet love of Padme, by the tiny warmth of Luke and Leia, by the unwavering faith of Obi-Wan. The confrontation with the Emperor reaches its climax when Anakin, channeling every ounce of his strength, seizes the Force itself. He hurls the remnants of his mechanical restraints into the Emperor, creating a shield, a barrier against the destructive lightning that seeks to corrupt him. Palpatine screams, but his wrath is now countered, weakened by Anakin's unexpected defiance. And just as the battle seems to teeter on the brink of absolute devastation, Padme executes the plan she had been preparing silently. She activates the ship's escape sequence. The hangar doors begin to rise, signaling a narrow path to freedom. Anakin hesitates for a heartbeat, torn between the desire for vengeance and the instinct to protect. He looks to Padme, to Luke, to Leia, and finally nods. Together they move with precision, Anakin wielding his lightsaber not to kill, but to clear a path, cutting through the few remaining Imperial obstacles with a controlled ferocity that mirrors his inner resolve. Obi-Wan takes the lead, guiding them to the ship, and the final step of their escape begins. The ship's engines roar to life, lifting them from the hangar as the Emperor's wrath echoes in the distance, frustrated and restrained. As they escape into hyperspace, the first sense of relief washes over Padme. She clutches her children, tears streaming down her face, but they are tears of survival, of hope, of a future reclaimed. Anakin, breathing heavily, removes the last piece of his mask, revealing his scarred face, yet alive, human, and free from the immediate grip of darkness. For the first time in years, he allows himself a small, cautious smile, though it is tinged with guilt and sorrow for the lives he has lost and the mistakes he cannot undo. But freedom is only the beginning. The galaxy remains under the shadow of the Empire. The rebellion is still nascent, scattered, and desperate. Yet now, with Padme's survival, the narrative shifts. She becomes not only a mother, but a symbol of resistance, a living testament to the possibility of redemption. Her survival changes the dynamics of the galaxy itself. Her political acumen, her deep understanding of diplomacy, and her unyielding courage allow her to begin organizing a network of allies. Senators still loyal to the Old Republic, ex-Jedi sympathetic to Anakin's return to light, and even some Imperial officers disillusioned by Palpatine's tyranny. Anakin, meanwhile, begins the painful process of reclaiming his identity. No longer just Vader, no longer merely a weapon of the dark side, he is Anakin Skywalker again, yet forever marked by his choices. The guilt is palpable, the scars of Mustafar still burning, both physically and emotionally. He leans on Padme, on Obi-Wan, and eventually on the tiny presence of Luke and Leia, who, in their innocence, remind him of the purity he once fought to protect. Every interaction, every moment of play, every gentle smile from Padme reinforces the light within him. But the Emperor will not sit idle. Palpatine's reach stretches across the stars, and he is not one to forgive defiance. Reports of Padme's survival, of Anakin's defection from the dark side, and of the children's safety reach him swiftly. He begins planning a retaliation, a strike designed not just to reclaim control, but to break the spirits of the Skywalker family. The stakes escalate dramatically, and the family, still vulnerable and untested in the larger conflicts of the galaxy, must adapt. Survival now becomes a strategy, and hope becomes a weapon as potent as any lightsaber. And yet, even as the danger looms, there is an undeniable shift in the balance. Anakin is no longer lost, no longer enslaved. Padme's presence creates a ripple effect through the Force, a reminder that love, courage, and conviction can alter destiny itself. The rebellion, hearing whispers of the Skywalker family's defiance, finds inspiration. Senators rally, ex-Jedi return, and slowly, meticulously, the seeds of organized resistance begin to sprout. The galaxy, dark and uncertain, now has a new path, one in which redemption is possible, and hope is not just a memory but a living, breathing force. The galaxy feels different now. Small, almost imperceptible shifts ripple through star systems as though the Force itself is rebalancing. Padme, alive and resolute, takes her place not just as a mother, but as a beacon of hope. Her survival is no small thing. It is proof that even in the darkest of moments, courage and love can defy fate. She reaches out to allies she once knew, senators who had been silenced or intimidated, and quietly begins weaving a network that will, in time, challenge the Empire from within. Anakin, meanwhile, walks a path that is foreign to him in every way. The man who once embraced the dark side, who let rage and fear consume him, now struggles to reclaim his soul, one choice at a time. He trains in secret, honing the Force not for domination but for protection. Every movement of his saber is precise, controlled, and deliberate, a reflection of discipline rather than aggression. He meditates daily, confronting visions of his past, the screams on Mustafar, the betrayal of the Jedi Order, and his own failure to save those he loved. These memories do not break him, they temper him, forge him into someone stronger, more aware, more human. Luke and Leia, though infants now, grow under the watchful eyes of their parents and Obi-Wan. They are symbols of possibility, the living proof that the Empire's rule is not absolute. Padme teaches them patience, courage, and the value of hope. Anakin teaches them resilience, showing that even the gravest mistakes can be corrected through conscience and action. Their family, though marked by trauma, is bound by love, a strength that no Sith or Emperor can fully understand. But the galaxy itself is not still. The Empire, sensing a shift in its grip, tightens its control, deploying legions to hunt down dissenters and rebels. Palpatine is furious, and his schemes grow ever more insidious. Yet with Padme alive, the dynamics have shifted irreversibly. She becomes the catalyst for covert resistance. Senators secretly rally support. Covert supply chains begin to aid insurgents, and sympathetic Imperial officers question their orders. The rebellion, which had been a whisper in the void, gains momentum. Palpatine's paranoia grows. He begins to sense that the very man he corrupted, Anakin Skywalker, may now be the instrument of his undoing. Anakin's return to the light is a slow, deliberate process. He confronts the inner shadow of Vader, acknowledging every atrocity committed, every life taken, every decision made in anger. It is painful, relentless work, but he does not shy away. Padme remains by his side, a constant reminder of his humanity and the life he still has the power to protect. Together they begin to strategize not only for survival, but for resistance, knowing that the fight against the Empire is far from over. The stakes are higher than ever, but hope, real, tangible hope, exists. Palpatine, blinded by fury, launches a campaign of terror across the Outer Rim, hoping to crush emerging resistance before it can grow. Entire planets feel the weight of his wrath, and yet, in every oppressed system, whispers of a surviving Padme and a redeemed Anakin inspire courage. Rebels, once fragmented and hesitant, begin coordinating strikes, sabotaging supply lines, and rescuing those unjustly imprisoned. Information flows through a network Padme had meticulously constructed, turning whispers into actionable intelligence. The Emperor's reach is vast, but Padme's survival has created a countercurrent he cannot fully suppress. Meanwhile, Anakin takes on the mantle he had once abandoned. Not as a weapon of destruction, but as a guardian. He moves through battlefields not to dominate but to protect, intervening to save lives whenever possible. His former allies in the Jedi Order, scattered and disillusioned, are drawn back, not by faith in the Jedi Code alone, but by belief in the man he has become. The legend of Darth Vader begins to transform in the minds of the galaxy. He is no longer a symbol of fear, but a cautionary tale of redemption, a man who fell and rose again. Padme herself becomes a political powerhouse, her presence redefining the landscape of governance. With Anakin at her side and Obi-Wan as a guiding force, she begins to implement reforms on systems liberated from Imperial control. Her focus is not vengeance, it is rebuilding, healing, and ensuring that the mistakes of the past do not repeat. Every decision she makes carries the weight of her near-death experience, yet she navigates it with grace, intelligence, and unwavering resolve. She is the living embodiment of hope for countless systems yearning for freedom. The personal stakes remain high. The family's safety is constantly threatened. Every mission of balance between advancing the resistance and protecting Luke and Leia. Nights are spent in quiet reflection, in whispered reassurances, and in sharing dreams of a future free from tyranny. Anakin, once haunted by darkness, now teaches by example, showing his children that mistakes do not define you, but how you respond to them does. The galaxy may still tremble under the Empire's shadow, but within the walls of their hidden refuge, a different kind of power thrives, one rooted in love, courage, and the unwavering will to fight for what is right. And then comes the moment that changes everything, a coordinated strike on Coruscant. Orchestrated by Padme's network and executed by Anakin and a small contingent of loyal allies, the Empire is caught off guard, its bureaucracy fractured, and Palpatine forced to respond directly. In the confrontation that follows, Anakin faces the Emperor not as a victim, not as a pawn, but as a master of his own destiny. Every blow he exchanges, every defensive maneuver, is guided by experience, wisdom, and a desire to end tyranny once and for all. Padme, guiding the rebellion's fleet from a secure command center, coordinates attacks with unparalleled precision. Her strategic mind, honed through years of navigating political intrigue and surviving assassination attempts, allows the rebels to anticipate Imperial maneuvers, turning the tide in ways previously thought impossible. The galaxy watches. Systems once resigned to submission now find courage in the demonstration that the Empire can be challenged, that one family's survival can ripple into a movement capable of toppling even the greatest of tyrannies. The battle culminates in a final confrontation aboard the Emperor's flagship. Palpatine, confident and vicious, underestimates Anakin's resolve and Padme's brilliance. Their combined efforts, Anakin's raw force power tempered by discipline, Padme's intelligence and leadership, and the unwavering courage of their allies, result in a victory that reshapes the future. Palpatine is defeated not just through strength, but through the very principles he had sought to crush: love, unity, and hope. In the aftermath, the galaxy breathes. Planets begin the slow process of liberation. Former Imperial officers surrender or defect, and the remnants of the rebellion, now emboldened, assume leadership roles with guidance from Padme and Anakin. The Jedi, scattered but inspired, return to their calling, redefined not by dogma but by the lessons learned from a galaxy nearly lost to darkness. Anakin's redemption becomes a story told across systems, a reminder that even the deepest fall can be countered by love and conscience. And at the center of it all, Padme and Anakin, united not only by love but by purpose, cradle Luke and Leia, their children who embody hope for the galaxy. They have survived impossible odds, defied destiny, and forged a new path. In this timeline, the galaxy is not perfect, wars linger, challenges remain, and darkness will always test the light. But a foundation has been laid for something enduring. Padme's survival was never just about her. It was about proving that hope, courage, and the strength of family can change everything, even in the face of overwhelming tyranny. As the twin suns rise on a liberated world, Padme stands with Anakin and their children, the wind carrying a promise of new beginnings. They look to the horizon, knowing that the galaxy will always need guardians, but also knowing that together, they are unbreakable. And in that moment, the legacy of the Skywalkers is not one of tragedy, but of resilience, redemption, and the enduring power of love. So what if Padme had survived in Revenge of the Sith? Perhaps the galaxy would not have needed Luke Skywalker to redeem Darth Vader. Perhaps the rebellion would have risen sooner. Perhaps peace would have come not through prophecy or chosen ones, but through the strength of a woman who refused to give up. On her husband, on her children, and on the galaxy itself. And maybe, just maybe, the Force had always known that she was the hope the galaxy truly needed. If you enjoyed this alternative timeline, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Star Wars stories. And may the Force be with you.